Hey, there we
So,
go. We're recording. Cream cheese.
cream
Sweet.
cheese. Mm.
Ooh.
Well, I pretty much, my blog about my recovery blog. Uh, I tell it one-sided. I can only tell it from my point of view. I've never really had my kids or my mom. I mean, my mom 2 cents to me, but I didn't know what it was like growing up around me. And so,
What was
I
it
mean,
like
because
being
when you're,
around you as an alcoholic or a drug addict?
yeah,
It's got to be. I'll tell you everything about that. It's nuts.
the the beautiful thing is, this November 6th will be 4 years for me without
Congrats.
Awesome,
without
buddy.
a
I'm proud
any
of you.
kind of fall. Thank you. I have not had any kind of fall. I've had a lot of close calls, and that's if you look at my blog, you'll see there's a lot of stuff about triggers, and just the outside or inside emotions you get. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've walked by a beer cooler and go, "Yeah, I remember that," and then just keep walking on. But
You're
it's hard
telling
though.
me. I'm
Some
driving
days
past the
it's
Minute Market every day and wanting a cigarette, dude.
oh
But I
well.
still have those little tiny spats. It's like, grrr.
Yeah, I'm hoping to give those up soon. I really am. I
Yeah,
got this, and this don't do it really. I don't care what they
yeah,
say. It's not the
yeah.
same. But
Take it day by day.
yeah, same way I took my alcohol, but I've tried. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Maybe the mindset is,
Uh,
but the physical part of it's different. This much I can pretty much tell. But
nice.
weird. I got my. That is weird. Ah, it's recording from my PC, not my camera. Oh well. Either way, I thought I had my.
Nice.
You can see I got my camera right here. Obviously, it's not recording from that. Strange.
No, this will do a playback at the end. It'll ask you for a playback, and then it'll save itself. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering why I couldn't move my camera
Yep.
around. Oh,
Totally free.
yeah, it's nice.
Nice.
I like this. The sound
Very
quality's
cool.
good.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
getting back to topic, I do want to blog about the other side of life, what it's like growing up around someone that was an alcoholic. And I know you've talked about it, David, numerous times. I don't have anything written down. That's just how I do my videos. I don't write nothing down. Nothing's ever scripted. So
Yeah.
I don't know. When did you realize things weren't right when you were a kid?
That actually pretty much was from the beginning, since I can pretty much remember. I grew up in a little hippie town called Ashland, Oregon. Beautiful town, by the way. I still love it. I live about an hour and 20, 30 minutes north of it right now. But we go there from time to time just because it's home. But I remember that since, I realized it since I can remember. I think one of the youngest or one of the earliest memories I have was my dad going over to, and by the way, it was my father who was an addict and alcoholic. And just so you guys know, he passed away April 17th of 2015 at the age of 62. So if you tell me that weed doesn't kill, you're an idiot. And you really need to be educated. Weed is a drug. It's a narcotic. It does kill. Yes, it has some things medically that can help people, but it still kills all the same, just like taking too much aspirin can kill you. However, I find weed to be a lot more dangerous, and I do believe that it should be an illegal narcotic. We can argue that point all we want, but it killed my father. So did alcohol. He was a huge alcoholic. And he died from complications due to marijuana and alcohol 25 years after he was clean and sober. The earliest memories that I have, kind of just one of the first ones I remember, we were driving and we stopped over, I guess he stopped over at a friend's house. And I remember these friends. It was an altercation, I guess, he had with a few of their his friends' friends that he really didn't know. They were kind of from out of town. And I remember I was just like, gosh, I don't know, I must have been 5. I don't know. But I was screaming in the back of the car because my dad had gotten out in the middle of the street and he was fighting these 3 guys. And I'm screaming in the back of the car of a 5-year-old, all because a drug deal's going bad. You know, while my father did waste 3 people and walked away with very little in that fight to say that he was in a fight, I remember that incident at that age, and it was terrifying. And I even climbed over the front seat of the car to get to the back seat of the car and hide because I figured those big people were going to come and kill me or something. I don't know. I was just freaking out. It was an altercation. It was a fight. You know, it's not like nobody's ever been in a fist fight before. But at that age, I didn't really know. I had no idea. Eventually, as I got older, I figured out that my father had a temper and an anger management problem. And he was usually spawned on by what, most people would say, weed chills you out. No, it doesn't. For some people, it can make you completely intense and paranoid and even angry. There were times where I got the buckle end of a belt for a spanking and didn't feel too good. I remember once when I was I was a teenager. I told my dad, "No, I'm over the belt." Next thing you know, I woke up 2 minutes later.
Oh man!
Poked me in the face and knocked me against the wall. See, I told you guys in my internet marketing stuff and all the blogging stuff. I told you guys I have some pretty insane stories that are real. They happen. It's just the way it is. I'll tell you this. I just so you guys know, I love my father. I miss my father dearly. He's my dad. He's my daddy. He became a believer and got saved and was saved from the addiction when I had just turned 17 years old. He went through an AA program. At the same time, he was being ministered to through that AA program by a pastor, Joel, out of Gold Hill, Oregon. And if it wasn't for Jesus, no. No, none of that would have happened. As a matter of fact, he'll tell you, and he's always done that. He's always told people it was the big book and the Bible. I mean, that's what it really took for him to really change. Took for him to change his life. For me, I saw the miracle. That's why I became a believer. I saw the miracle. It was. I just couldn't believe that I was seeing this man who has been this horrible jerk for most of my life become this man over here. It was a miracle. People talk about miracles, like doctors talk about miracles all the time. Like, I don't know, it's a miracle. It's the only explanation I have. I'm telling you right now, this was a miracle. When people who are still caught up in that life, or people that were caught up in that life that knew my father, they look and they've known him when he was and when he wasn't. They just look at me and they're like, "You're right. That is just a flipping miracle. There is no other reason for it. It was just God had something else for him." And
so he had never.
I'll tell you,
he never had any relapse or anything. He never had any
kind
of relapse.
He never relapsed once. And I'm eating cream cheese and a bacon while I'm doing this and drinking a human being coffee. He never relapsed once. As a matter of fact, he told me one time, not too long ago, but he really didn't have any sort of anchoring or cravings to go back at all. They were gone. It was just over. It was gone. He just said, one day I was just praying, and he's like, "Lord, I don't want any more of this. I'm going to go ahead and give you a shot." And that was it. It was over. The next time I saw my father was 30 days later when he got out of that program, and he was crying at my feet asking for forgiveness, literally, on his hands and knees crying. And that was probably the weirdest time of my life. So, he would hit meetings all the time. I would go around with him and do that. I'd go to some of those meetings and hang out with him. But even up until he passed away, up until he was pretty much, bedbound, He'd go to about 2 or 3 meetings a week for most of his life, and most of the time he was speaking or invited to speak or whatever. The day of his funeral, we were in a decent-sized church, and the people and parishioners, they went all the way out and flooded out into the driveway parking lot.
Wow.
And pastor had asked him, people, if James Emmett Boozer been any part of your walk with Christ and sobriety, and 99% of the people in that building raised their hands and outside. And so for me, that was pretty amazing, to see that. Yeah. So, whether you believe or not, I don't really care. Truth is truth. And, this is what the good Lord did for my father. You can try to do this alone. You can try to do it on your own. But even that comes to an end eventually. Yeah. I really do believe that you need to be connected to people. And I believe you need to be connected to God to really get a grip on that, get a hold on that. It's tough, extremely tough. And I had to live with people like you, Chris. Yeah. I did, and it was scary, and it was rough, and I didn't know how the wind was going to blow every single day. I just had no idea. Is he in a good mood? Is he in a bad mood? Did I bag up all the weed that he was growing and give it to the teachers and get all the right money back? I don't know. I did that stuff for him. Yeah, you guys everybody's like, oh man, that, what is that TV show? Something bad. What is that show? About the teacher making
Breaking Bad?
Yeah, you guys,
Breaking Bad?
All my people. Yeah, all these new kids today, they're just like, and young folks are just like, oh, dude, I watched Breaking Bad. And I was like, I was Breaking Bad. It's just my dad wasn't a teacher. I'm like, really? I was like, that's the stupidest bunch of crap I've ever seen in my life. As a matter of fact, that stuff being glorified on TV is just horrendous. It is horrible. Yeah, it is not a lifestyle to be portrayed in any sort of life whatsoever. I know, I had to live it out, and it's not good. It's bad. It's evil. In my house, I felt as though there was evil. Evil was there, and I didn't know how bad that evil was day to day. You didn't know. Depends on how much he drank or how much he smoked. Depends on if he even got to drink or got to smoke yet. I don't know. The wind blew every which way every single day. And so that puts you into the position of wondering all the time and trying to please somebody or just stay out of the way and hide, to just, kind of be a recluse. And that kind of seeped into my own life for a while, I believe. So, yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough, man.
I never physically abused my children when I was going through that, but I think the mental side of it alone was bad. I mean, a lot of people talk about the physical abuse, but the mental abuse is just as bad.
Hey guys, I have to jet. I'll see you guys later, okay?
Go ahead. All right.
See you later, Steve. So
I would say this, the mental part is just as bad as the physical part. It really, really is. I think that anybody who says different is lying, or they just don't know. They're just guilty of not knowing, being uneducated. It's bad. It's kind of like saying, weed's okay. Weed's not okay. Weed is bad for you. Weed hurts. Weed can. So that's just kind of what it is,
Yeah.
So.
See, for me, when I got really deep into the alcohol, and by the way, I did quit for 1.5 years prior to this quitting, and I relapsed over something stupid as actually at the time, my wife, but now ex-wife, said she never even realized I stopped drinking for 1.5 years. And then I just said, well, I might as well start drinking again. But from that relapse on, got worse. I mean, it was probably the worst I've ever been, to the point where I mean, I tell people I was up 2 beers a day, and half of them were the tall boys, and people were like, "That's impossible. There's no way, you'd be dead." But and my body's still
Yeah.
suffering from it.
No. My dad could suck down a case of beer in a day, dude. And
Yeah.
he could probably suck down a pound of weed in less than a week. It's just how he was. As a matter of fact, my grandfather once drove him to a distillery, a beer distillery back east in Alabama. And he told him, he was all, "You see this kid? You can never, ever, ever drink all the beer in the world." And my dad looked right at him and said, "No, but I can dang well try." I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." He was like, "I said that to the old man. I couldn't believe it." He did. He said it right to him. And you know what? My dad lived a good portion of my life trying to drink all the beer that was ever made. And, you know, it didn't work out. As a matter of fact, my father got into one serious car wreck where he almost died. As a matter of fact, they almost took my brother and sister with them. And the back seat was thrown clear of the car by about 50 feet, and they would have been dead instantly. The engine came through, landed on my father's arm through the dashboard, and landed on his arm. He had a big scar for a long time, and as he grew older, it kind of shrinked, but it was from the hot engine being on his arm.
Wow.
He remembered laying there, and he had a vision of some kind, I don't know, in the hospital, but he knew that there was some sort of just some evil there creeping in his life. And actually, at that point, he did stop drinking for about 8 or 9 months. He still smoked weed and did that, but he did stop drinking for a while, I remember. But, you know, if you're doing one, you might as well do the other.
Yeah.
He went back to drinking. And so he still didn't learn his lesson. Yeah.
I never got in any accidents, and I used to work like this. I mean, my trade as an electrician. Can you imagine an electrician going in and working something while drunk? I mean, I was either really lucky or someone was watching out for me. That's the only two answers.
My father, he worked in lumber mills, man, here in the Pacific Northwest. He was doing pulling chain and stuff like that. He'd be high pulling chain. That's kind of dangerous, very dangerous actually. You can fall in and get all, you know, cut to pieces. Yeah. Eventually, he had a carpet cleaning business that he bought a machine from my uncle for 2 cases of beer and $500. So they both spent the weekend loaded. And then my father went to work and actually became successful at it. He built a successful carpet cleaning business, and I helped him do that. So when he was high or drunk, he didn't really drink during the day. He was, or not during work time. He'd get high, but he wouldn't drink. But the drinking, man, when the drinking was poured on, oh my gosh, it was just gas to a flame, you know, that was already burning. So it was pretty crazy. Yeah. But
yeah,
you know,
I didn't. There towards the end of my drunk, I was going to work, but I already had about 6 or 8 tall boys before I even got to work. And then I got on the job, and I was sitting there with a beer in my hand. And no one ever said anything because, and I like to think that, but I'm not really sure of this 100%, but I was the only one on the job that could bend pipe. So they kept me there, but it was an oven of a building. It must have been 140 degrees every day. And they didn't care who was in there. So, but that was right up to the end of my drinking. And when I was working for Disney, it's when I went in and told them, I got a problem. I got to go get help for. It wasn't all on me, though. I didn't really see it for myself. A lot of people telling me, and it was my mother that came up to me and said, I'm going to disown you if you don't get a hold of your problem. And when someone that you care about and someone you're so in touch with deeply says, I'm going to just be away from you forever, that made me think. But it's crazy. It wasn't my kids that said that because they're real young. It wasn't my ex-wife. It wasn't nobody like that. It wasn't even friends. And it was actually Mom that actually got me to realize what was going on with me. And it's funny. I got my New Star on Life page on Facebook. If you look at my friends on there, they're all alcoholics.
Good.
I don't know if it's.
They need to be there. If somebody the other day was telling me, is like, yeah, dude, I'd go to church, but there's too many hypocrites there. And I'm like, well, thank God. I was like, where do you think they need to be? Chris, where do you think these alcoholics, current alcoholics need to be? They need to be on your Facebook and hitting your blog and reading the information and even watching things like this. I mean, I would prefer hypocrites being in the church because there at least they have the chance of hearing exactly what they need to hear. To better their lives and better their situations and better who they are and actually understand who they are meant to be. So, that's just how that is. Dealing with an alcoholic father or mother, I mean, if you have a mother out there too, if your mom was like that or anything, just a parent in general, it's quite confusing because you don't know. I mean, you don't know how that day is going to be when you wake up. You just don't know. You don't know if you've done things right. You don't know if you've done things right, and that sucks anyways. I feel for your kids because your kids did. They kind of felt like I did. Like they didn't know how the days were going to roll. Is dad going to be angry today, or is he going to be distant? Is he just going to be drunk and lay there and do nothing, whatever? Some people just lay around and do nothing. Some people, like my father, pretty much tear up the world. And you kind of gotta sit there and you protect yourself as much as you can. Me, I had my grandparents to go to, both sets of grandparents, and I would go over there on the weekends as much as possible. 1 weekend there, 1 weekend there. This way, it kept the weekends to a minimum. And even my grandparents, as long as they weren't out of town, they would take me, and they knew. They would just come by, pick me up Friday after school. I didn't even go home. They would go to my house, pick up my stuff, take me to grandma and grandpa's. That's where I'd go. And that was nice. That would get me out of some of those, most of the weekends of just craziness. So, if you have that ability to do that, do it. You don't have to make it look like you're escaping, but that's exactly what you're doing. You're trying to escape. And that's not always a bad thing, especially if you're like 12 or 15 and your father's a real total turd and he will slug you in the face. Escape. Go to some other family members. Go and do other things. Don't crawl away and hide in a box. And don't keep trying to please people either. That's ridiculous. Don't try to please these people. Don't try to
please people. Because you should only try to please yourself.
Well, I don't try to please myself either because that would just be self-serving. But the point is don't give in to them. Is basically what I'm saying. Don't give in to them. Don't give in to that sickness. And see, my father, he believed to a certain point that alcoholism and drug addiction was a disease. I do not buy that crap. I will not buy that crap. It is not a disease. You don't choose cancer. You don't choose Lou Gehrig's disease. You choose to go down and buy a 40 ouncer. You choose to go down and buy an ounce of bud or, whatever the fixing is today. You don't choose cancer, okay? This is not a disease. This is a habit. This is a choice. This is people being what they are, sinners. They're just being them. They're being bad. It's what we kind of are prone to do right off the bat. Yes, we were meant to be better. Yes, we were meant to be much different. But the thing is that this is what we're prone to do right off the bat, unless, of course, we know. Okay? All right?
Yeah.
Unless you don't know. It's like my father said. He's all. The reason that I sometimes believe it's a disease is because we do suffer from one disease, kiddo. And that's the disease of sin. It's a disease that is spread to all of us. Now, I do believe that. I do understand that. Okay? But still, it spawns from choice. Because we don't have to sin. Because we know inside of our hearts the difference between good and evil. Yeah. Bad and good, and wrong and whatever. We know. We don't have to, but we do.
I've written a piece on whether it was an addiction. I think actually the idea came up from you back when I first started my blog. When you brought up that topic, I started doing a lot of research online, and they still call it a disease, which yeah, you're right. It's not something. It's not a disease. It's an addiction. It's a choice, and
sin is
it's
the
crazy.
disease. Sin is the
Yeah.
sickness. Sin is the disease. The choice of how we feed that disease is choice. How do we feed that disease? Sexual addictions, drug addictions. It can be something as simple and stupid as, continually buying coffee when I can't afford it can be an addiction. I mean, come on, really? Putting myself into the poorhouse, trying to do stupid stuff, whatever. I mean, whatever it is. The thing is that the only disease here is sin. And I'm still guilty of it. I had my own addictions in life, one girlfriend after the other. I mean, seriously, come on. Or ignoring people, hiding, being a recluse was a sin. Because I was trying to hide. I was trying to protect myself. I was trying to think about me. This world isn't about me thinking about me. If I was to do that, well, then I might as well be a Buddhist or something else like that. But this world isn't about me. It's not all about me. Okay?
Yeah.
And, my dad was right to a point. Sin is the disease. But drugs, alcohol, sexual addictions, whatever it is, those are choices that we make to feed that disease that we know that we have, that we decide to feed anyways.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That is true.
And even the children of alcoholics and drug addicts, we can find ourselves in the same boat, because the thing is that my father came to me seeking forgiveness, and guess what I did? He's groveling on his knees, crying. I could have kicked him in the face. Literally. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there was a part of me that was like, dude, kick him. But then all of a sudden, this overwhelming thing hit me, and I just said, I forgive you. As of this day, I will not remember a thing. I will never bring it up to you again, ever. How about this? You take me out to dinner and let me have the truck tonight to take my girlfriend to a movie, and we'll call it even. He gave me $20, took me out to dinner, gave me the truck for the evening, and I took my girlfriend, high school girlfriend, out there to a movie that night. For some reason, I was supposed to forgive him, and I'm going to tell you this right now. It wasn't just for him. It was for me. It was for me. That was one of those things. It wasn't a selfish thing. It was just something that the Lord did. He said, he needs this peace. And guess what? You're going to, at some point, need this peace.
Yeah.
And at some point, years later, I needed that peace, because guess what? Somebody else ran into the same situation as me, and they came to me and they were talking to me about it. And guess what? I gave them that peace. I showed them how I got that peace. And all of a sudden, I realized the peace that I already had. See, that's the whole thing. This isn't about me and self-love and self-pity and all this other self-crap. You want that crap? Go to Oprah.
Yeah.
Go to Deepak Chopra crap stuff. You really want to sit there and help people get past these addictions, and you want to help yourself get past being, in front of these people or harboring any sort of animosity or anger or hate or anything towards your parents for this. You need Jesus. And it's the only thing that's going to help you escape that. It is not only the forgiveness for them and to bestow that forgiveness to them, but also, that's right, to get that peace that you're going to need. You sit there and you wonder why some of the children, fall for this stuff. They end up doing the same things that their parents do. I didn't.
Yeah.
I chose a different path. But here's the thing. Was anything really different? Not really. I was still angry here and there for a while. I was still hurt. And I still did things and lashed out at things because I was still hurt and angry. I didn't do drugs, didn't drink, but I might as well have, because what was the freaking difference? Nothing. The actions were the same.
Yeah, that was my next question. Did you ever come close to walking that same path? And I guess not.
Not that path, but I came to the same path as being angry and being irritable and being a turd to people and being a total just punk. And I was like that for a little while. Came close a few times when I was 16, 17, and 18 of being arrested for stupid stuff, just for mouthing off. It had nothing to do with me doing anything illegal. Not really. I was skateboarding somewhere, but I decided to be a mouth.
Yeah, well,
Start telling people where to go. I use this finger, remember. Okay. I don't use the other finger. So that's how it was for me.
Times.
Yeah, that's the kind of person that I was. And it's because of the attributes that I had seen in life. And I took on some of those attributes. So what was the difference between drinking and having those attributes or just having those attributes? Nothing. Not a thing, really.
That's true. Yeah.
They were still done on a choice.
There's one thing I don't talk in my blog about. I mean, I talk about the addiction of alcohol, but one thing I have not talked about at all is my addiction to drugs. And I got into it pretty heavily back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you name it, I was doing it. I didn't do anything like
my dad
pushing
was
needle.
doing a lot of weed and speed and drinking. That was his drug choice. He was growing a lot of weed. He was doing a lot of speed and drinking a lot. And I'll tell you what, that really gave me the creeps when I was older. You know, I started hitting 12, 13, and 14, and he was starting to do those things. I'm coming into my teenage years, and here's my dad, you know, all cranked out, and you know, he was using crank too, is what they call crank back then, but he was using crank and speed and weed, and my goodness, man, it was like, yeah, it was like a really bad 80s Al Pacino film. it was just bad, you know.
Well,
but
you know,
good came out of it. Good came out of it. You know, I have a wonderful family who, instead of breaking apart, united. Instead of being unforgiving and worrying about themselves and fixing themselves, we all helped each other, and we all helped our community. Anytime you start, like I said, you start worrying about yourself and you start talking about self and you trying to heal yourself or love yourself, then you're doing exactly what you're not supposed to be doing. You're doing exactly what they're doing, loving themselves and caring for themselves and wanting to fulfill themselves. That's what alcoholics do. That's what drug addicts do. That's what people who are addicted to sex do. That's what self does. You know, it's just, it is what it is.
Like they say, we are our worst enemy.
We are our worst enemy. And the thing is that we cannot be our own saviors. We can't be. My father, for some reason, the Lord had it and said, that's it. You're going to a 30-day program because I'm going to make the judge send you there. And you're going to meet a person named Pastor Joel. And that Pastor Joel is going to be teaching and preaching and helping you through with not only the AA book, but a Bible study every 6 hours. And, you know, at least twice a day. And that's what he did. And when he came out of that place, he came out with some of the best and most wonderful people I've ever known in my life. Rocky, Paul Rock, you name them, just a bunch of people. Wonderful, who I consider family today. And their kids are friends of mine. I mean, we're all family today. It's just insane. And, you know, not only did this horrible stuff, you know, just be horrible, it actually turned out to be good. And it brought a lot more people together because the Lord did it. He pulled these people together. He pulled all of us together. And so it was most amazing to see. When I saw my father, I still didn't go to church after that. Even after I saw the change and the miracle, I knew. I was raised in church, but I didn't really believe because I was young and dumb. And as I started getting older, I started thinking for myself a little bit more, and I started doing my own research, and I started thinking, how could someone like my father change so abruptly? And I just started doing my own research, started studying. I even went to Bible college for 2 years just to learn, not to get a degree, just to learn. And I figured it out. I figured it all out. It was pretty simple. It was Jesus. I mean, that was it. And I will go to my deathbed saying that it was Jesus. Ain't got nothing to do with me or him.
For me, when I quit, I went to AA for the first 10 months. I think I was in, and then after that, I stopped going. I didn't go to church. I didn't do any of that. I still was so standoffish with the whole thing. And when they told me the higher power, I kept thinking the only person I could think of, because at the time I didn't believe in anything. I believed the way that, the way the world was the way the world was, and it didn't matter who or what was in control of it. So when they said higher power, I thought of my father. And my father passed away in '99 from small cell cancer. And he drank. I didn't see him. The only time I saw him drink was when we went fishing or golfing. And he'd have his 2 martinis after work. But he didn't drink at work. He was an air traffic controller and worked for the FAA and all kinds of things. So, it's not the kind of place you drink. So, but it was never like right there in my face when I was growing up. And I really don't know why I jumped to it. I might have a couple reasons in the back of my head, but it's not because I hated anybody. Maybe because I was a loner and I hung out with the wrong crowds and got into drugs first before alcohol.
Well, I do think that the AA program is great. As a matter of fact, the Big Book was written by 2 guys, and they were both Christians, and you can see everything in there was Christian orientated. They did use the word higher power and things like that, because I know that not everybody's a Christian. But the thing is that if you ask them, and you can ask them, as a matter of fact, you'll find out that some of the biggest struggling alcoholics in the world are Christians. You want me to name one? One of them wrote Mere Christianity. Look up that book, and you'll see who was a struggling alcoholic. I think it's pretty important that you become a part of a community like that or a group. We're not alone. As a matter of fact, Christ himself put a lot of heavy emphasis on the church. And why? Because he knew that we needed each other, that we have to be, that this may be focused around him and his authority and his Godhead and everything else. I understand that, but it's also a connection between us and him to help each other, because he's working through all of us together, even through the hypocrites sitting in the pews. He's working with everybody. Yeah, don't give me the hypocrite crap either, okay? I see more hypocrites out in the world than I see in church. And if they're in church and they're hypocrites, that's where they need to be, kind of like an alcoholic in an AA meeting. I think you need to be a part of that atmosphere. I think you need to be a part of a group. I think you need to be there. It's extremely important. It's just, I could tell that growing those friendships and relationships and all of that my father did through the years only strengthened everything. Like you said, there's triggers. My father didn't have any triggers. Matter of fact, his friends that I know of that he went through the program with, that came out with Pastor Joel and got saved and everything, they didn't have any trigger problems either.
Yeah.
Not that I can remember. And I knew everything about those guys inside and out, and their kids. So, I don't remember there being any triggers for them either, any real hard, difficult times other than putting the family back together.
Yeah.
And that was really, really it. So I think it's because of that. It's because of that connection, going to Wednesday night Bible studies. My father put together 2 with Pastor John Corson out at Applegates, gave him the idea to do it, kind of helped him write up some things. But my father helped put together 2 what they call recovery churches in the Rogue Valley in Medford, Oregon. And these recovery churches are on Sundays, and they also have studies throughout the week where people from the Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and all of that will be shuttled from wherever they're staying, or they can drive in from home or wherever. but they can go there and they can be with other people in recovery and study God's word. And my dad put that together and started that back in the late 80s, and it has grown exponentially over time. So
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't have anything like that around here. Yeah, all we
Well, maybe
got.
you need to start one.
Yeah. Well, I kind of, that's why I got my blog going. Actually, it's helped me out a lot. I mean, since I don't go to AA every day, I do belong to a bunch of groups online through Facebook and Google Plus that, I mean, we all help each other out and talk. But my blog was more or less a way of helping myself while helping others. And it's hard to get that word out there. I'm not sure if it's because people don't like to admit they have a problem or whatever. Maybe I'm just not putting it out there in front of the right people. But
no, we're all.
I still do.
We shy away from. We try to hide. It's kind of like Adam and Eve. I mean, what was the first thing Adam and Eve did after they ate from the fruit? They tried to hide from God. We try to hide from God, and we try to hide from each other when we know we're doing things that we're not supposed to be doing. It's just how it is. Why do you think we go out and we do a lot of our drinking at night in the dark? Because we're trying to hide it under the cover of darkness, and we're trying to escape. We do it in the squats of our home in the middle of the day with the lights turned off and the curtains pulled. We try to do things, and try to hide it constantly.
Yeah.
The thing is that your sobriety shouldn't be hidden. It should be out there in the world. It should be saying, here, this is what's happening with me. This is the Lord doing his work. He's cleaning me up. He's clearing me out. He's taking all the bad stuff out. He's putting all the good stuff back in. This is what he's doing for me. And the thing is that's the stuff you share. That's when you open up the curtains and you turn on the lights and you go outside and you shout to the world. This is what's going on. This is how the Lord is helping me in my life. This is not about you. This is about them understanding that, them learning from that. You focus on, that's the problem with AA and NA today that I do see. There's too much self-help going on, too much self-love, self-help, and self-everything else, that you're really not escaping the problem that started in the first place. It started with self.
Yeah.
Self-pleasing, self-loving, self-this, all it is selfish. Okay? That's all it is.
It's a good point.
It is. What was my father doing? He was hurting his wife. He was hurting his kids. He was selfish. He wanted to get high. Oh, now all of a sudden he wants to get better for himself. Yeah, well, go do that. See what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You can go get all the clean and sober you want to for yourself, but you got to make amends.
Yeah.
And those amends, yeah, you can make amends, but you've also got to repair.
Yeah.
And you can't repair being focused on yourself. You can't repair. This is why I hate stuff like, I don't understand people that follow people like this Chopra guy or freaking Oprah Winfrey for that matter. It's too self-promote. It's self-promotion. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I'm a professional blogger, internet marketer, inbound marketing specialist. I don't go around creating all this stuff for myself. I have to create this stuff of value for you to help you. It's about you in the end. See, if I'm just focusing on my stuff, well, then I'm just going to be a marketer who says, hey, feed me money. Yeah, then I'm no better than the Frank Kerns of the world. I don't want that. I want to be the Jim Boozers of the world. That was my father's name. I want to be just like my dad. I can say that today. I've been saying that for 25 years now. I want to be just like my dad. Selfless, caring, Christian, faithful, wonderful human being that God made. That's who I want to be. I want to be just like my dad.
Well, from what I've seen so far, you're towards that.
I'm hoping. I'm praying. If there's anything that I want to be in my life, that is to be just like my dad. And my dad was a selfless man after he got clean and sober and saved. A selfless man.
Yeah, I wish I had met him.
He was awesome.
Well.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, if you want to do this again sometime, man, let me know. I got to
yeah, definitely.
In a few minutes. I got to finish up homeschool with the kids. We homeschool, and you know me, dude. I'm blogging over at Blog by the Sea, having some fun there. It's pretty awesome. So, how do you like that? You like it so far? Is it okay?
Yeah, I'm loving that. It's more personal actually than the other ones.
Cool.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop this recording real quick, but I do want to thank you for bringing up your past, and I know with your father's passing, it's probably not the best of time to ask, but I figured it's fresh on your mind. So,
I am fine, man. We are believers.
Cool.
It is how we are.